So today we are testing out the Aputure 600C Pro 2, and we wanted to create a scene that felt real and really put this light to the use cases that we would use. We just didn't want to go over the specs, and we actually want to create a video that we would enjoy watching, and that is using it in practical situations. We're shooting this little kind of commercial. We like to call these like technical specs for us because it just really lets to flex our creative muscles and then using the tools that we have at our disposal. So Adrian, Justin, and I kind of made up a scene here of me just relaxing as the sun is setting. We have a warm summer glow coming through the window, and we wanted just to set that up in our studio and actually shoot that for you guys. So this is one of the insert shots that we're getting of me putting the record on the turnstile here, and then just using a bunch of records to add more depth to the frame. So right now outside we have the 600C Pro 2 stationed out there with a f10 Fresnel, and then that is kind of just flooding, and that is acting as our main source of light that is just going to motivate the entire scene. And then the other light that we're using here is the Amaran F22, one of our favorite key lights to use in any situation. And it's kind of changing the industry of what panel lights are and flex lights are. And this is our main key light here, as well as just using a cutter, some Bristol board material, and just a t-shirt to kill some of the spill.
And that is a black t-shirt.
Obviously we wouldn't do this on a client set, but we're just figuring it out as we go.
Justin challenged us to light this scene without using any cutters. So now we're using things that we can find around the household.
We are actually shooting this on the Sony FX3, and this is paired with the Arliss Primes, and we're actually shooting this on the 40mm. We're gonna be switching the focal length for one of the insert shots, but we're primarily using this for my face shot, the actual shot that we're doing here, and the wide that we have. So this is our setup, and we're gonna get into the color temperatures, what we're using, and exactly how we pulled this off.
So this right here is Atmosphere Aerosol. You can buy this online. Very good. I mean, you can get some good haze out of it. The only problem is like, you gotta use it in spurts. Otherwise you're gonna just use up the entire can. It's really good for like small spaces like this.
So now we're getting some of these insert shots to really tell our story, and we're trying to change up the focal lengths as well as the shooting angles. So we just shot the kind of over the shoulder of getting the whole table and giving context about everything that's on the table, all the records that I'm going through, placing the record, and then pulling the book that I'm reading. But now we're doing another insert shot with the 135mm just to get some different feeling things and to really focus on the action of playing the record and then pulling the book in a different style of shot. But what we had to do is basically bring the sunlight that was over there and bring it onto here to make it feel basically the same. Continuity is everything when it comes to cinematography or creating a commercial or any simple scene. And when you move in for the tights and go back from the wides, you have to have continuity in mind. So what we actually did is ended up boosting this light so we have the harsh highlights coming in. It's always important to remind yourself exactly what you're shooting. Give yourself context. This is supposed to be a bright sunny evening as the sun is setting and I'm just relaxing after maybe a hard day of work. And in our wide, we already set that the harsh sunlight is coming in and I want to stretch that across the table. When we had it set for a wide, it was set around like maybe 30%. But then when we're going in for these tights, and we went outside and adjusted the light to 100% to get those harsh highlights, especially on the book face on the table, and just to keep that continuity in mind. So to give you guys some context, right now it's 4 o'clock, but we're trying to make this feel in the summer. Sun sets around 8:30 here in Canada. The room that we're shooting in is very dark, so we don't have to deal with a lot of white walls that are bouncing the daylight that's coming in from the studio, bouncing that all around. So that basically kills that for us, but in a situation that we're trying to shoot this, we would have to black this out entirely. But the main thing that is really giving us this look is the light that we placed outside, which is the 600C Pro 2. And luckily enough that this is a colored light as well as it gives us enough output to put the light outside. When you get into past the 300 watt range and get into the 600 and 1200, that's when generally you start to bring lights outside. And this is a perfect light to do that because the sun is beaming outside. But this light is powerful enough to basically outbeat the sun, obviously with a f10 Fresnel on that too. So that is the main benefit of such a powerful light, as well as we can change it to any color, which you guys are going to see later. So right now we have it set to 3200 Kelvin to give us that nice warm glow, but we could easily dial this in if we wanted more orange with the features on the 600C Pro 2. And then we're matching that with the F22, and we're bringing this in a little bit more cooler to really balance the daylight that we have going along. And that is just to add with the color contrast because we wouldn't want everything completely orange. Another thing that I absolutely love about the Aputure fixtures and just the whole Aputure ecosystem is the ability to control lights via Bluetooth and just your phone, and it's all in one place with Sidus Link. So I want to show you guys what we're doing with these two lights here. The one main light that we're working with is the 600C Pro outside, and then the Amaran F22 inside. So let's just start off with our outside light that we're using. So right now, this is what the scene looks like without any light or any of the fixtures that we have in play. And then I'll turn on the 600C Pro 2, and that is acting as our sunlight beaming through our window here. And that is pretty realistic to me. And we have this at 100% with the Fresnel on. We have it dialed down to 3200 Kelvin, which I can just do in the app right here. And then basically this is giving me a very nice flare, but this is way too moody for what we're trying to do. I need to read, I need to enjoy my time. So I need to have some light on me. And the way that you do that is basically wrapping the light around your subject or wrapping the light around myself with another fixture. So this is my big motivating light source, and now I want to bring some of that wrap and light back onto my face. And this is exactly what we did with the F22C. So we have this set a little colder than that light, and this is set at 4000 Kelvin, and the outside is set to 3200 Kelvin. And this is set at 45%, and that is set at 100%. And then the reason that we have a cutter on here is that cutter is basically diffusing the light only on my face. The light that you see is that hitting my body, hitting the rest of my legs and everything like that is just the stock diffusion as well as the grid to kill the spill. And that is giving me a nice separation between levels of my face, which is a little softer, which we want to be more flattering, and then the levels that I actually have on my leg. You don't necessarily need this color. This is just something that we do for attention to detail. And then as you see, as I move in and out of frame, Adrian and I thought this flare was very nice and adds to the piece. It's not too jarring, especially when I actually lean into frame. So I love the usability and flexibility of these lights, especially just connecting with my phone, or especially if you have an iPad and I can connect to as many fixtures as I have in my scene and really work on the lights and dial in the look that we're trying to hit. So another thing that I absolutely love about this light is that it's a colored light. Usually lights are daylight balanced, which are set to 5600. You have X versions, which can vary from 2700 all the way up to 9000 Kelvin. I don't exactly know the values. And then colored lights just give you the entire spectrum of whatever you're trying to hit. And they're very useful in situations where you're trying to make a scene look like that it's not supposed to be. So right now, this whole lighting example, we did this golden hour look where I was relaxing after work. But what happens if I wanted to shoot the same scene and a passage of time and I fell asleep or something like that, and we want a moonlight sort of feel? Basically a dark feeling scene, but you have to have some sort of moonlight, and that's exactly what they do with making things seem a little bit more blue. So let's actually try that, because we have a F22C and then the Aputure 600C Pro 2 outside. So we can easily just change that, and we're gonna just do this live through here through the Sidus app. So the first light I'm going to change is my 600C Pro 2 to give us the color that we're looking for. And we're going for this moonlight. So I'm just going to go into the CCT version of the actual color picker here. And then I'm gonna go all the way up to, it can go up to 10,000 Kelvin. Let's dial it back to like 9,000 Kelvin and see how that feels. And then also dial back the intensity, because the moon is not that bright. So obviously we're combating what we have in the background there, but let's dial this down. So I have this at 10,000 Kelvin sitting around 17%. And now I'm going to match that with the F22C here. So I'm just gonna go back to my fixtures, go into the Amaran, and then now I can dial this in. So I'm gonna set it to the same color temperature, and then I have to do the expanded version of that. Ooh, I can even set it very blue. So let's try to match it with the 10,000 Kelvin to see where that sits, and also dial back the intensity, because this is supposed to feel more like moonlight. So the main problem that I'm kind of combating here is obviously the exposure of the window, what we're working with there. So let's actually go back to that 600C Pro 2. And then go back to the 10,000 Kelvin that we were sitting at before. And let's make it a little bluer by expanding the curve even more. And there, that's kind of something to work with. But this is just to give you guys a quick and dirty example of setting the same scene and then doing a totally different color shift. Obviously, we have some daylight spilling in now, but what we could do is we could easily cut that with black material and reposition our light. But this is just a fast, quick example to see what you can do with colored temperature fixtures And I absolutely love using these, and this is what I like to rent out in specific packages when I'm shooting commercials, because I like the flexibility. A lot of the times I'm shooting montage commercials, and in an entire day, we have to make things feel like morning, midday, sun is setting, and also blue hour. So these fixtures give you amazing flexibility, especially with the output of the 600C Pro 2. Like, this is going to be our go-to light when it comes to shooting our commercials.